Andrey Baklanov is the deputy chairman of the board of the Association of Russian Diplomats. You're also a former Russian diplomat, sir, joining us from Moscow. Thank you. In recent years, Russia has been absolutely committed to keeping Bashar al-Assad in power. Is that still the case?
Well, actually, we were trying to do in both directions. First, we backed, of course, the present regime and President Assad. At the same time, we were trying to redefine the situation and to push the sides concerned to fulfill the resolution 2254, including the organizing of the dialogue. We must confess that not everything is in our power. As we take the military side of the story, from the very outset, from September 2015, we didn't have real ground forces. We had two elements, Navy and air forces on Syrian soil. Of course, these are certain brackets for our military involvement. So the main actor was the army of the Syrian regime itself. Now they are in a very difficult situation. Though it's not for the first time there's such kind of difficult situation in Syria. When I was visiting Syria in 2013, 14, 15, there was at once there was only 14% of the territory in the hands of Assad government. But then by and by they returned back the majority of the lands. Who knows, maybe this time also there will be a change of the prevailing mood of the situation, and the Syrian army will take back some of the grounds they gave for their position.
But you mentioned that the Russian military assets, naval and air assets, came into play in 2015, so some 9 years ago, and in a pretty major way, I would add, to keep Bashar al-Assad in power. Could Russia do that again?
Well, actually, I would like to remind that we acted just before because of the international terrorist organization, the so-called Islamic State, was trying to overcome the civilian government, and we acted against international terrorist groupings at that period of time. And we said from the very outset that we are not inclined to participate in these Middle East quarrels between the parties concerned, including Syria and its neighbors. So, we were backing Assad mainly because there was a danger that the Damascus environment will be in the hands of the international criminal groups, international terrorist organizations. That was the source of our involvement.
Well, let me ask, and I know I'm circling around the same sort of topic here, but let me ask the question this way. If it becomes clear, as it could very well be the case in the coming days, that really the only thing standing between Assad and a complete rout by the opposition fighters, if the only thing is Russian intervention, would Russia intervene? That is my question. Or would Russia accept a post-Assad Syria?
It's difficult to say because we are examining the situation. We do not have any, preliminary demands for the situation. We'll study what is going on from the military point of view, from political point of view, from the point of view of correlation of power. So, we'll see. But definitely at this juncture, today, we are backing the government, we are backing the president, and we are examining the drift of the situation. And of course, there will be political element of our behavior and military element of our behavior.
Okay, Andrey Baklanov, Deputy Chairman of the Board of the Association of Russian Diplomats. Thank you for joining us on the Al Jazeera NewsHour. Marwan Bishara is Al Jazeera senior political analyst. You're joining us from London. Marwan, as ever, it's good to talk to you. Look, Syrian government forces are retreating across the country, sometimes without a fight, often without a fight. How do you think, and we just spoke to our Russian guest there, how do you think Syria's main backers, Russia and Iran, are processing all of this?
Well, let me give you one alternative reading to the next 48 to 72 hours, maybe a few days more, as to where Russia will be. I think we are reaching a moment of the fall of Saigon for Russia, the fall of Damascus. If you remember the fall of Saigon in 75, that's when the Americans had to flee Vietnam from the rooftop of their embassy in Saigon. And I think we might be approaching that moment when the Russians are going to be fleeing from their embassy in Damascus. If the situation continues in this speed to work against Russia, Iran, and its ally Assad, their ally Assad. And I think this is really becoming quite a probable scenario at this point in time. It's actually not just a defeat, a humiliation for the Russians in Syria, but could also be a major disaster, because I think that's what the Russians and the Iranians are trying to work out with the Turks in Doha this week. They're trying to find out, I think, if they could organize their defeat. Because if they just are defeated in humiliation or humiliated in defeat, then we can see a major anarchy coming through in Damascus in the next few weeks and months. And I think it's in everyone's interest, it seems, that they need to organize the defeat of Assad. They need to organize the withdrawal of the Russians from Syria, and they need to organize the transitional process moving forward post-Assad. I think these are the kind of things they're probably thinking about. I am not sure any one of them at this point in time, thinking about how they're going to save Assad and recover Syria from the rebels that are basically taking every other city as we speak.
Okay, that's interesting. You're saying at this point, Russia, Iran, Assad's backers are probably thinking of how to organize post-Assad rather than whether there is going to be a post-Assad. Just so you know, what we're seeing and the footage...
Just quickly, Syrian.
Yeah, go ahead. Marwan, just making you aware that of the footage that we're seeing, just so you know what viewers are seeing when you're talking to them, it's footage of Syrian troops retreating into Iraq. Syrian troops that have left Syria, supposedly, okay, we'll confirm this as soon as we can, leaving the battlefield in Syria and have retreated to Iraq. Sorry, go ahead, Marwan.
No, it's just all breathtaking, Cyril. I mean, we watched these images and just over the past few days, just since last week, and it's really breathtaking in every possible way. Anyone who's been looking at this, I've written, part of a whole book about this back in 2012. The idea that a dozen years after the Syrian revolution first broke out in Daraa, that we see the fall of the regime in less than 12 days it's just an amazing development in this region, in the history of Syria. So be that as it may, what I was talking about, actually organizing their defeat, because really at this point in time, we don't know what the long term is going to bring. So I think clearly the Syrians don't want to have Assad in their future. So I think Iran and Russia could probably need to stop talking about that. The thing is with Iran, and that's a bit of the unknown scenario, right? Because I think for the Russians, it's on their way out. For the Iranians, they are in disagreement, Cyril. It seems to me, or rather I'm convinced, that the Iranians are not in agreement amongst themselves about what to do next in Syria. I think the new president in Iran and his entourage is not exactly on the same page as the Revolutionary Guards about what to do about Syria or whether to intervene or not in Syria. And I think that's been going on for a few days now. And the fact that they have not done anything except talk and meet in Baghdad and Doha tells me that they are not about to save their ally Assad. Now, this is a major setback for Iran.
So you're starting to answer my next question. And I was hoping you could give our viewers a little bit of a guide to the next few hours, the next few days, because things are moving so fast, militarily, diplomatically. I wonder what you're watching specifically, that you think is relevant and telling about where this is all going.
Look, I think the best thing that's happening, although I don't have a reading of the minutes of the meeting of the 3 foreign ministers in Doha, I think that's key. I think it was also key to see the 3 foreign ministers meeting in Baghdad, but I think more importantly, the 3 stakeholders, Turkey, Iran, and Russia, meeting in Doha under the auspices of the Qatari foreign ministry. I think that's huge. And I think that hopefully should start now producing some results. I think the Turks probably will be exigent in their conditions because they are certainly, or their allies are certainly winning in Syria. I think Russia and Iran, as I said, will try to organize their defeat because they don't want to live in total humiliation. I think for Assad, there is no future in Syria. The question is, what's next? I think that's what everyone needs to come. I'm talking about all now the regional stakeholders, including those who can afford to help and those who can financially, politically, and strategically able to stabilize Syria. Because if it's just a question of Saigon 75, Assad falling, and all the various rebels going in, this is going to be anarchy. This is not going to be a smooth transition. That's why the grown-ups in the room, all those responsible, the neighbors and others, need to step in and try to organize a post-Assad era whereby it will be clear with a vision, with a roadmap, with those people who are now part of the revolution in Syria, of course, to have a say in it and all. Meaning they just have to give Syria back to the Syrians, away from this kleptocracy, as it were. This is, by the way, this is the Economist weekly word of the year. It is ruled by the worst. Syria has been ruled by the worst for the past 60 years. It's time to go beyond that.
Al Jazeera's senior diplomatic editor, Marwan Bishara, thank you very much.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.